Will the New Orleans levees hold again? And now, just 3 years after Hurricane Katrina, the city of New Orleans confronts or faces a new threat from Hurricane Gustav, and a very stark question. Well, and perhaps from Hurricane Hannah. And the question is, will the partially rebuilt levees hold this time or again? There's a lot of doubt there, you know. And despite at least or more than $2 billion in improvements, including 220 miles of repaired, raised, and replaced flood walls, 17 new pump stations, and more, even more, flood-resistant pump stations, among other measures, there is nobody that can say for sure that New Orleans won't be swamped or flooded again. And here's another question. And if it is, could it possibly ever recover? It's scary, man. Very scary, said a 63-year-old plumber whose house is close to flood walls on the Industrial Canal. But are so suspect, or could they possibly be defective, that the Army Corps of Engineers is buffering them with large baskets filled with sand. Temporary emergency measures. In other words, why isn't all this work finished already? And how long is it going to take? And what will it really protect the city of New Orleans from, if it even can? Again, they say it's not up to code. The plumber said, we'll just have to wait and see. Yes, wait and see. Levee experts and the Army Corps insist New Orleans is safer than before Katrina flooded more than 80% of the city on August 29th, 2005. But yet, the system still has very severe shortcomings. Flood barriers meant only to withstand medium-strength storms, hidden layers of weak soil, and navigation channels that inadvertently funnel storm surge into the city, not out, to name just a few. That doesn't sound very good. Supposedly, theoretically, the positive thing about having any storm hit you, it will reveal any kind of weaknesses in the system, said an engineer at the Missouri University of Science and Technology, who has tracked the construction closely. And he says we shouldn't be surprised if there are weaknesses in the system. And it's only a third of the way there to where it's supposed to be. Experts estimate the system is only a third of the way to where they want it by 2011. That's still years away. What good will that do us now or in the near term? Supposedly strong enough to protect against what scientists call a 100-year storm, or something on that order. Theoretically, that type of hurricane has a 1% chance of occurring each year. Of course, maybe they don't really understand the dynamics of what's going on with the world, or the earth, the climate. By comparison, they say Hurricane Katrina, was a 396-year storm, a supposed rare catastrophic hurricane. Well, they could be occurring a lot more. Actually, we're not close to 100-year level protection yet. No, that doesn't sound good, said the regional director of the Southeast Louisiana Flood Protection Authority, East. But it's not worth putting your life at risk if you have the means to get out. So in other words, I guess the director means just get out. Leave. Each side of the river still has its own problems. On the east side, where the French Quarter stands, the most serious concerns lie along a T-shaped shipping corridor where the Industrial Canal meets the Gulf Intracoastal Waterway. The canals have been the cause of repeated flooding over the decades, and flood walls along it were breached during Katrina, flooding and swamping the lower Ninth Ward, Gentilly, St. Bernard Parish, and other parts of eastern New Orleans. Officials have called it the system's Achilles heel. So to fix the problem, they say, the agency plans to spend at least $695 million more to construct a barrier across the shipping canal's mouth. But of course, they haven't even started that project yet. What good will that do us now or in the near term? But that work won't be done for at least another 3 years. There are other spots to watch also. Levees protecting eastern New Orleans and St. Bernard Parish are in many stretches 10 feet lower than what they should be. They're not up to code. And another concern is a new system of pumps and floodgates on 3 drainage canals. Flood walls on 2 of the canals collapsed during Hurricane Katrina, causing widespread flooding in New Orleans. And of course, yes, there's problems with the new pumps. The people who installed the new system to prevent storm surge from entering the canals, well, some of those pumps have been plagued with problems. They were defective when they were installed in 2006, and serious doubts persist about the overall engineering solution. And of course, the other side of the Mississippi, known as the West Bank, has very serious flaws as well. In the past 2 years, they have been scrambling to finish the work, but levees, flood walls, and floodgates remain in various states of completion. No, that doesn't sound very good either. And at the moment, 4 miles of flood wall are still under construction, and contractors are working to raise 23 miles of levees. Of course, in time, well, they'd like to build a massive floodgate to stop the storm surge water from entering canals that run for the West Bank. But of course, you know how it is. Yes, you know how it is. For now, those are just ideas. That won't do no good. Not at this point in time, with perhaps at least one major hurricane barreling or coming towards New Orleans, and perhaps another one not far behind it, or not far off from the hurricane that's coming first. Perhaps 2 hurricanes or tropical storms. Yes? A double 1-2 punch. Hurricane Gustav pounds Jamaica. Yes, it's already coming. It swamped Jamaica after pounding other parts and leaving at least 67 people dead in its wake. Louisiana and Texas put their National Guards on standby, and New Orleans, yes, New Orleans, said a mandatory evacuation order might be necessary. Haiti officials on Thursday said at least 51 people have died from floods, if not more, mudslides and falling trees, and more devastation. Grand Cayman issued a hurricane warning and braced for a possible strike a day later. Oil prices jumped above $120 a barrel on fears that the storm could affect production in the Gulf area, home to 4,000 oil rigs and just half of America's refining capacity. Yes, the hurricanes are coming. They are coming, and these are more signs of the end times, transition times, or days, and there are many, many signs.